To the Minister of Finance and asks, what progress is the government making in getting the economy growing and helping Kiwi families to get ahead?
The Honourable Bill English.
Speaker, very significant progress. The government is working to get this economy on its feet after the previous government ran it into recession in early 2008. Annual GDP growth is currently about 1.9%. The government is putting in a range of policies to lift sustainable economic growth, such as infrastructure investment, new trade deals, science and innovation investment, plans for broadband, very significant tax reform and sweeping regulatory reform, all of which will help create new jobs and raise New Zealanders' living standards.
Amy Adams.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Supplementary to the Minister. What recent reports has he received on trends in consumer prices faced by Kiwi families?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, the latest CPI showed consumer prices rose 0.3% in the June quarter, mostly due to tobacco price increases, with an annual inflation to the end of June of 1.8%. Food prices actually fell 2%, the largest fall since 1960. Electricity prices increased 2.9%. In the year to May, and floating home mortgage interest rates are still near historic lows at around 6%. These are well below what consumers faced 2 years ago. There will be some one-off price increases in the next few months, such as GST increase in October, which beneficiaries, superannuitants and working for families recipients will be fully compensated.
The Honourable David Cunliffe.
To the Minister, when he said he was helping Kiwis get ahead, was he referring to the latest Dun & Bradstreet Consumer Credit Expectations Survey that shows 36% of New Zealand households are having to use credit cards just to pay the bills for everyday expenses?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, I think the figures show that New Zealand households are learning they need to be very careful about debt. This country has a huge appetite for debt at the moment, New Zealanders are being careful with their spending. They're tending to reduce debt, and the good news is that export prices and performance are up, and that's the rebalancing the economy needs.
Amy Adams.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister, how will the government's tax changes in October benefit some of those most in need?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, the tax package will leave someone on the average wage about $15 a week better off, and an average family $25 a week better off. For superannuitants, the news is even better. The married rate for a couple on New Zealand superannuation increased by about $100 a fortnight since late 2008, an increase of more than 11%. The married rate for New Zealand superannuation will increase by another $40 a fortnight from 1 October, reflecting the impact of personal income tax cuts and an adjustment to compensate for the GST increase. This will take the married rate to $1,022.12 a fortnight, up by $140 in just 2 years.
The Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr Speaker, which of the following does the Minister consider to be his government's greatest achievements in helping Kiwis get ahead? Achieving 5.9% inflation by pushing up GST from 1 October, promising a step change by excavating national parks and then burying the idea, attacking working conditions through the Fire at Will Bill, cutting science funding and the R&D tax credits to strangle innovation, or proclaiming the perfection of his own government's monetary policy when it's crippling exporters? The
Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, our most significant achievement is to grab this economy by the scruff of the neck after that party ran it down through where the rest of the world enjoyed a decade of prosperity. We protected New Zealanders from the sharpest edges of recession, and now we are putting this economy back on its feet. And our other achievement was to... And one personal achievement of mine was to show up to the mood of the boardroom where that member mysteriously failed.
Amy Adams. Amy Adams. Order. Amy Adams.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Supplementary to the Minister. How do the most recent trends in consumer prices compare with those consumers faced in 2008?
The Honourable Bill
Mr
English.
Speaker, just about every measure has improved significantly since 2008. In the few years running up to 2008, inflation peaked at 5.1% in the year to September 2008 with no compensation. Electricity prices increased 72% in 9 years to 2008. Petrol prices reached $2.11 for 91 octane. They're now about $1.75. The ETS scheme that Labor put in place would have doubled the cost on households, and the official cash rate was at its peak of 8.25%, and floating mortgage rates were almost 11%. That was New Zealand's hard-working families are much better off now than in 2008.
Question number 4, the Honourable David